Teachers by teachers, hundreds of educators from around the state gathering at Colby College for a multi-day conference to learn from one another.
Keenan Mills went back to school to tell us more.
This week is the first annual Every Teacher a Leader conference put on by Educate Maine. Although summer vacation is still in full swing, some say the school year is always on their mind.
Even though many of us are weeks away still from returning to the classroom and maybe working in our spaces and looking at our rosters and welcoming everybody, we're never really not thinking.
The three-day event is used to learn, network, and to put a spotlight on the profession.
Teachers by nature tend to be kind of quiet and play down many of the great things that they do, and frankly, we shouldn't. There are amazing things happening in all kinds of classrooms and schools across the state.
A big part of this conference is the networking and sharing practice in elevating teacher voice and celebrating teachers in our state.
A big emphasis is showing teachers their impact can go so much further than the classroom.
All teachers are leaders in their classroom, in their buildings, and we want to highlight that and encourage teachers to stand up and be proud of what they do, share their stories.
The conference welcomes educators from pre-K all the way up to college professors. The content of each session was driven from community forums held in every county in Maine.
All of those things that came out of it, from the classroom management all the way to having teachers present to each other so they can network. So we just had so much success with that.
The intention is to make the conference an annual tradition. Keenan Mills, WABI News, Waterville.